All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Minnesota Vikings. I think people are finally figuring out that your GM is one of the best in the business here. Starting it off with a bang, we got Will Fries, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Kelly. Tomorrow it's going to be Javon Hargrave. I just saw a report that the Vikings are interested in Cooper Kupp. It has been an absolutely phenomenal free agent period for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, obviously, it's been headlined that Sam Darnold is no longer a member of the team. And I just want to speak on it real quick because I think JJ McCarthy is the future. And at the time of this recording, they haven't signed a veteran backup QB quite yet, but I'm sure that is going to happen by the end of the week. We have to start with the offensive line because under the assumption that next year JJ McCarthy will be the starting quarterback, he's going to be a rookie and he's still extremely young and he's coming off an injury. So you got to protect this dude. And the biggest issue with the Minnesota Vikings at the end of the season was the interior offensive line. And so the Will Fries, Ryan Kelly moves were unbelievable. I couldn't believe that they got both of them, former teammates with the Indianapolis Colts, and I really like the Will Fries move specifically. I'm loving all the memes out there. Would you like fries with that? So today this went down. 5 years, $88 million contract, and he's going to fit with Ryan Kelly, his former Colts teammate that we'll talk about in just 1 second. But obviously the Vikings viewed Will Fries as the best guard on the market, and they paid him like it. He's only 26 years old, and he's going to be your long-term guard for several seasons. Now, he's coming off an injury, but 2 years ago, the dude was an absolute beast for the Indianapolis Colts. But last year, he only played 5 games because of a fractured tibia, then the surgery and the recovery and all of that. But I'm loving all the resources the Vikings are throwing into the trenches. And I know you can say this about every team in the NFL, but it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out watching the Super Bowl. The Philadelphia Eagles trenches absolutely dominated it. And just in general, all the teams that went far in the playoffs had really good trenches. So that interior offensive line was really annoying at the end of the season for the Minnesota Vikings. And I got to give the Will Fries move at least an A-, not an A+, just because 5 years, $88 million for a guy who only played 5 games last year could, in theory, be risky, but I absolutely love it. Folks, before we get any further into today's video, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I apologize, I haven't made a Vikings video in way too long. We're definitely going to change that this week and moving forward, but if we could try and get this one to 250 likes, folks, that goes an extremely long way. Thank you for tuning in. Jonathan Allen is fascinating. The Vikings, out of nowhere in like the span of 24 hours, have one of the most intriguing trenches offensively and defensively in the National Football League. And Jonathan Allen's really cool because this is a 3-year deal up to $60 million. And just like Will Fries, he didn't play last year. So people aren't really making that big of a deal of this. I think it's flying under the radar, and it kind of reminds me actually of the Vikings last year. They made so many good moves. Like the Vikings this time last season made so many good moves, and we sat behind the microphone saying, here's why this is a good move. Here's why this guy's a good move. Here's why Van Ginkel's going to help out next year. And that's exactly what happened. And nobody really talked about it. And we saw it with the 6.5 win prediction for the Vikings last season, and everybody was wrong. But Vikings fans are sitting here thinking like, oh my goodness, we got a team. We got a team. This year, they're taking even bigger of a leap, but Allen only played 8 games in 2024 because of a partially torn pectoral muscle, but he had played at least 15 games in the 6 prior seasons, all right? This is a 2-time Pro Bowler in 2021 and 2022, and in that span, 120-plus tackles, over 16 sacks. Here's what's even crazier. 47 total quarterback hits and 2 forced fumbles for Jonathan Allen in 2021 and 2022. 47 quarterback hits. This is a defensive lineman. This is a tackle. Dude's a stud. So then we go back to the offensive side of the ball. Center Ryan Kelly. What I really like about this move is he gives you valuable experience, and they just need the talent and just OG veterans, right? Head coach Kevin O'Connell really emphasized after the playoff loss to the Minnesota Vikings that he needed to improve the interior offensive line, like we were talking about in the beginning of the video. And Ryan Kelly's really cool because he's going to be 32 next year, so he's a little bit older, but he's an offensive lineman. This is a 4-time Pro Bowler, and this is a second-team All-Pro guy as well. So he's also worked with a young quarterback coming from the Indianapolis Colts, just like Will Fries, because Anthony Richardson, obviously a top 10 pick 2 years ago. So I really like the Colts duo on the interior offensive line. And then this one technically hasn't gone through because free agency begins officially tomorrow. But apparently Javon Hargrave and the Minnesota Vikings will be inking a contract. And this one's really intriguing because he originally signed a 4-year, $84 million contract with San Francisco prior 2 years ago. All right, so 2 off seasons ago. He played 16 games in his first year with San Francisco and had 7 sacks, but he was limited to only 3 games this past season. Now, they're going to release him tomorrow when the new league year starts, and the Vikings are expected to sign him after that happens. In his career, 45 and a half total quarterback sacks, including 11 back in 2022. But like we mentioned, he only played 3 games this past season because of a torn tricep, but he had 7 tackles and a sack in those appearances, and he's also had at least 7 sacks in each of his previous 3 seasons. So I love that move. And then moving a little bit deeper, Isaiah Rodgers. By the way, I was gonna mention, or I was gonna talk actually about Byron Murphy getting re-signed. We'll save that for our next Vikings video, but that was awesome. 3-year deal worth up to $66 million. And then on the other side of the football, you got Isaiah Rodgers, right? So Cam Bynum departed. Right, he's no longer a member of. He's now with the Indianapolis Colts, and so you're going to see Metellus be the safety. So Metellus no longer in the nickel. That's where Isaiah Rodgers comes in, and his contract's 2 years, and it's worth up to $15 million. Now, this is a really gritty pick, in my opinion, because this is a 6th-round guy back in 2020. He was suspended the entire 2023 season for violating the NFL's gambling policy, but last year for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, he played 328 defensive snaps, 26 tackles, 4 passes defended, forced fumble. He only started 3 games. Their defense backroom was super deep, but he also had a very good playoff. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that move. Low risk, high reward there in my back pocket in Isaiah Rodgers. And then just also in Vikings news at the end of this video, Patrick Jones going to Carolina. You guys re-signed Aaron Jones as well a couple of days ago. And like I said, apparently Cooper Kupp to Minnesota is very possible according to a Vikings insider. So that's all the time we have for today. I'm loving your guys' free agency thus far, and we're only 2 days into it. So stay tuned for more Vikings videos. But guys, hit that like button, hit that sub button if you haven't already, and give me a grade for Minnesota's free agency thus far down below. You already know I'm going with an A. Peace.